Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our fourth and final segment for today. We're going to turn our attention in this last little snippet to the global and international lens and what has happened in rap on the international scale. So this deals with this lower quadrant down here. Hip hop culture has spread to pretty much every corner of the earth at this point. The forms of art and dance and music that were developed in the US, specifically in Brooklyn and the Bronx of the old school period, were disseminated worldwide beginning in the early and mid 1980s. Caught fire, traveled across the US, where we had a particular West Coast style emerge. And part of the thing that helped further disseminate this new form of expression was, of course, mainstream cinema. And we had three main films: Wild Style, Beat Street, and this end segment of Flashdance that ended up bringing a lot of new eyes on hip hop and rap that hadn't seen or heard it before. Can't stress the sort of international scale of US cinema in particular. It's internationally popular. Hip hop ended up going through a process of adaptation as young people fashioned the culture to their own kind of national and cultural identities. And began to rap about in issues that were important in their particular lives, in their communities. In most countries outside of the US, rap ended up beginning really as a means of presenting social and political commentary, and only later did it branch out into subgenres that were sort of more mainstream or commercial. And we saw that same trend happen in the United States. Of all the regions that we're going to cover briefly in this fourth and final segment, France is the one that gets to claim the claim to fame regarding being the first to adopt hip hop culture and develop rapping in a language that was outside of English. So rap and hip hop in France actually is presented in French. And like I said earlier, it really was a platform in which to give social and political commentary like we have seen before. I'm gonna pull up an example of some old school French style rap.
Ambiance scandale, danse de vandale, ça d'où vient la chaleur? DJ, breaker, b-boy, graffeur, beatbox. Ambiance scandale, danse de vandale, ça d'où vient la chaleur? DJ, breaker, b-boy, graffeur, beatbox.
Le thème c'est art de rue, dédié à ce qui pratique et ce qui aime, ce putain d'art de rue. Ce qui danse sur la piste, sur la pierre ou à la zone, ce qui mixe, ce qui parle sur la zik et ce qui tague sur les fourgons. C'est un mode de vie, une chose qui nous rend sérieux. Un besoin unique, vécu jour et nuit, on désire toujours faire mieux. Vu que la vie n'est qu'un test, et que toutes les situations sont complexes, on pense et l'esprit dit fais-le, fonce. Tant qu'on respire et qu'on est libre, y'a qu'à oser vieux, savourer l'existence comme on peut. L'essentiel est de faire ce qu'on aime et comme on veut. M'en veux, le rap c'est bon quand tu fais ça par amour, mais pas quand y a beaucoup de trucs en jeu. On s'en rend compte qu'une fois coincé dans le cercle vicieux, c'est un salut aux anges et aux dangereux. C'est un salut.
So, again, lots of a callback to the older, old school style that we covered in our last lecture, and a little bit of it in this lecture. As you could probably tell, the language there, again, was French. We have an outgrowth of this kind of style, again, incorporating other elements of other genres that are popular in France as we go forward in history, but I want to get a survey of some other areas as well. In particular, I want to draw our attention to Japan. Let me pull up my lecture notes again. So Japan. Japanese rappers have been building an underground following and performing in the after-hours clubs of Tokyo really since the late 1980s. But it really took a number of years, in fact, almost a decade and a half, for hip hop to actually catch on. And it's because of a pop singer who did a crossover collaboration within the hip hop genre, and that it was released in 1994. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Here we go.
So this ends up being hugely popular in 1994. And this spurs other interest in crossing over with hip hop and rap. And that wasn't the only place where this happened. Again, history sort of repeats itself in interesting ways. So in Cuba, you know, much like the other regions that we've discussed, we have rap being a means of social and political commentary. Same goes for Africa, and we've covered some political music, so I'm not going to talk about these two regions just for sake of time. Interestingly enough, China, which is our last location that I want to hone in on, is a fairly is a latecomer to our rap and hip hop scene due to the Chinese government blocking web content. In the past decade, though, Chinese rappers have received worldwide coverage as they've managed to circumvent firewalls and reach the outer world with homemade productions and video sharing sites. Really interesting how the idea of technology is really opening the floodgates regarding genres of music touching one another, and China, due to the Chinese government, has been a small pocket of isolation as a result. Because they are late to the scene, we're going to hear some differences in their music, in addition to the musical scene that's ongoing and popular there is going to also influence what's happening with rap and hip hop. Let me pull up an example from the Higher Brothers.
Rap music? China? What are they even saying? What is this Chinese rap music?
My chain Snoop go watch made in China. We play ping pong ball made in China. Get bitch metal says pay made in China. It had brother black car made in China. She said that she didn't love me. She said that she didn't love me. She said that she didn't love me. She lied, she lied. She all made it in China. She all made it in China. She all made it in China. She lied, she lied. 老总把你叫醒 ，Made in China。牙膏牙刷上面挤 ，Made in China。把早餐放进陶瓷碗 ，Made in China。擦唇膏出门打气伞 ，Made in China。坐在公司里，旋转办公椅，360度，速写零级，钢笔画了一朵莲花 ，Cookie 需要放到夜吧，相框里面框住全家，全部 Made in China。全身上下总有中国货，压力上来也有中文课。Chinese 入侵 local 口音，野火燎原淋上酒精。
Made in China 的关税 ，Made in China 被调戏 ，Made in China 的货，老百姓用的开心 ，Made in China 的 no no，Made in China 的 trap，Made in China 的 higher，Made in China 的帅。抬头和观众 say hello， 带起拳头的我不会退后，训练让我掌握节奏，几分钟内裁判宣布 KO。Tell me I'm a cool， 音乐节舞台的正对面 ，Made in China 预言般的歌词都兑现。大晴天醒来，我充满了力量和高昂的斗志，走进录音棚，肩膀上扛下的责任，正向国家对应的尊重，用跳水游泳。现实让我不断吸取教训，才会不断出现重复做过的梦。跨越了障碍，那是我的工作，别再抱怨起跑线有所不同。
So notice that our ostinato is made with a traditional Chinese instrument. Our languages that we're using are a combination of both Chinese and English. Yeah, we have a sort of interest in percussion, I think, above all when it comes to the song, and as a result, it's kind of a more tip of the hat to the old school style. Interestingly enough, the Higher Brothers actually came to fame through this piece that we just listened to, Made in China. They rap about, as you could tell, like contemporary obsessions. There's one of the lyrics that we hadn't gotten to. There's no Skype, there's no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram. Just WeChat is what's being used in the region. One of the things that's made rap acceptable in mainland China is the ability to use it and harness it as a propaganda tool because of its popularity with the youth. So interesting relationship that we see with music, and this kind of censorship is not just a new thing. Soviet Russia was big into the censorship of music, as have generally fascist governments overall, dictatorships, because of the knowledge that music can be a very important tool in mobilizing social action. So it is no surprise then that a music that found its roots in social commentary, political commentary, ends up being something that spreads very quickly on an international scale. So with that, I wish I could spend more time on the international scale, but the focus of this class is really what happens in sort of the scope of the United States. However, because of rap and hip hop being a original US invention, idea, concept, I thought it was worth exploring how that has disseminated on an international scale. In any case, I will see you all for our next class tomorrow. Bye.